The smile that cut like glass. The elevator doors open on the 22nd floor, and Lena felt her stomach tighten the way it always did on Mondays, like the building itself was swallowing her. She adjusted her plain blazer, checked the folder in her hands, and forced her face into professional. "Morning, Lena," a co-worker said softly, like they were afraid the office might hear. Lena nodded, already reading the room. Too quiet, too many eyes shifting away. That was never a good sign. She reached her desk and froze. A printed photo sat taped to her monitor, an old picture from years ago, when she was younger and broke and hopeful. In the photo, she wore a cheap uniform, standing behind a cafe counter. A handwritten note below it screamed in thick marker. "Our new executive started here faced with tears of joy." Her fingers trembled. Heat rushed up her neck. She looked around, but people pretended to type, pretend to sip coffee, pretend not to breathe. Then she heard the slow clap. "Wow!" A voice said, smooth and cruel. "You really upgraded your life, didn't you?" Lena turned. Kareem Raza, her ex, stood by the glass meeting room with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. He wore an expensive suit and a watch he used to point at when he wanted people to feel small. Around him, two managers laughed like they'd been paid to. "You still like uniforms?" Kareem asked loudly. "Or are you only into corporate now?" A few chuckles slipped out. Someone coughed to hide their shame. Lena's throat tightened. She swallowed, forcing her voice to stay steady. "That picture is private. Take it down." Kareem stepped closer. "Private? Like the way you left me without a word? Like the way you suddenly became someone else?" His words were a knife dressed as a joke. Lena's mind flashed back. Late night studying, scraping coins, building her career from nothing. And the part she never told anyone in this building. She hadn't upgraded. She'd survived. A manager, Mr. Qureshi, leaned in with fake concern. "Lena, if you can't handle a little humor, maybe leadership isn't for you." Lena's hands clenched around her folder. Inside were the quarterly reports she'd stayed up all weekend perfecting. She'd been promised a promotion. She'd earned it. Kareem's smile widened. "Oh, leadership? That's adorable. You're still the girl behind the counter in my head." Lena's eyes burned, but she refused to let tears fall in front of him. Then her phone buzzed once. One message from an unknown number. "Don't react. Today, the truth walks in." Lena stared at the screen, confused, and suddenly the office doors clicked open behind her, and every head turned, the man nobody expected. The office went silent in a way Lena had never heard before, like even the air had stopped moving. A man walked in with calm confidence, dressed simply but perfectly. No flashy logo, no forced arrogance, just a presence that made people straighten their backs without realizing it. Behind him were two assistants carrying a thin leather briefcase and tablet, eyes sharp, scanning everything. Kareem's grin flickered. Mr. Qureshi stepped forward with a nervous laugh. "Sir, can I help you? This floor is..." The man's gaze moved past him, landing on Lena like she was the only real thing in the room. "Lena," he said gently. Her breath caught. She didn't expect him here. Not today. Not now. "Ion," she whispered. Kareem blinked, confused. "Wait, who is that?" Ion stepped closer to Lena. His voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. "I got your message last night. You said you were fine." Lena's cheeks burned. "I didn't want to worry you." Ion's eyes softened for half a second, then hardened as he noticed a photo taped to her monitor. He looked at it, looked at the note, looked at the faces around them. "What is this?" he asked. Kareem forced a laugh, stepping like a man used to owning rooms. "Just office fun. She's..." Ion turned his head slightly. "And you are..." Kareem puffed his chest. "Kareem Raza, Senior Accounts Lead." Ion nodded once, as if filing away a meaningless detail. He turned to Mr. Qureshi. "And you allowed this?" Mr. Qureshi's throat bobbed. "Sir, we, employees joke. It builds culture." Ion took one step closer to the manager, still calm. "Humiliation is not culture." Ion reached out and peeled the photo off the screen with careful fingers, as if removing something dirty from something sacred. He handed it to Lena. You work there? He asked her. Lena nodded, voice small. To pay for my mother's medicine. To finish school. Ayan's jaw tightened. And you're being mocked for surviving. Kareem scoffed. Oh, please. Don't act like she's some hero. Lena's always been dramatic. She left me when I needed her most. Lena's eyes flashed. That's not. Ayan lifted his hand. Not to silence her, but to protect her from the trap of defending herself to someone who didn't deserve explanations. He looked at Kareem. You needed her? Kareem smirked. Yeah. Then she disappeared. And suddenly she's married to, what? Some rich guy? Good for her. Ayan's assistant quietly stepped forward and placed a tablet on the desk, displaying something Lena couldn't see. Ayan's voice remained steady. This company's parent group belongs to me. The room cracked open with shocked whispers. Kareem's face drained. That's impossible. Ayan leaned slightly closer, eyes sharp. Nothing is impossible when truth finally gets tired of hiding. Then Mr. Qureshi's phone rang. He answered, listened, and turned pale. It's the board, he whispered. They said you're here for an audit. Ayan looked at Lena. I didn't come for an audit. He glanced back at Kareem. I came because someone tried to break my wife in public. Kareem staggered back a step. And Lena realized whatever Ayan was about to do was going to shake this entire building. Kareem recovered fast. He always did. Fear flashed across his face, then got buried under arrogance like a stain wiped quickly. So what? Kareem snapped too loudly. You own the parent company? Great. That doesn't mean you can storm into an office and... Ayan's assistant tapped the tablet again. Actually, it does. Mr. Qureshi tried to smile. Sir, if there's been a misunderstanding, we can handle this internally. Lena is valued. Valued? Lena repeated, her voice trembling. She didn't mean to speak, but the word hit her like an insult. You called me not leadership material 5 minutes ago. Mr. Qureshi's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Ayan turned to Lena, and his tone softened. Tell me the truth. Did you ever file complaints? Lena's eyes lowered. I tried. Twice. HR said I was sensitive and suggested I avoid conflict. Ayan nodded slowly, as if he'd expected that answer. And the promotion you were promised? Lena swallowed. They said it's pending. Kareem laughed, desperate now. She's not getting it because she's not qualified. She's a liar? Ayan finished calmly. Kareem's eyes flickered. What? Ayan picked up the folder Lena had been gripping like a lifeline. He opened it, scanned the first page, then the second, his expression unreadable. These numbers, Ayan said, looking at Lena. You compiled them yourself? Yes, Lena whispered. I worked all weekend. Ayan closed the folder and handed it back. Good, because I already reviewed the company's financial trail before walking in. The office felt colder. Kareem's jaw tightened. What trail? Ayan nodded to his assistant. The assistant spoke, crisp and professional. We identified irregular reimbursements, vendor overbilling, and repeated approvals linked to one employee ID, Kareem Raza. Kareem's face snapped toward the assistant. That's a lie. The assistant didn't blink. We have signatures, timestamps, and email confirmations. Kareem pointed at Lena, voice cracking. She set me up. She's always been manipulative. Lena flinched. Old memories of being blamed, of being gaslit, of being made to feel crazy. Ayan stepped in front of her slightly, like a shield. You want to blame my wife? Fine. He looked at Mr. Qureshi. Bring HR. Bring compliance. Bring legal. Mr. Qureshi stammered. Sir, let's not make a scene. Ayan's voice sharpened for the first time. A scene was made when you allowed a woman to be humiliated for her past. He turned to Lena again, quieter. I need you to answer one question, honestly. Lena looked up, heart pounding. Ayan asked, did Kareem ever threaten you after you left him? Lena's breath caught. Her fingers tightened around the photo, because the answer wasn't simple. And the moment she spoke out loud, the whole story would change. The truth Lena never said Lena stared at Ayan, and suddenly the office around her blurred. The polished floors, the glass walls, the people pretending they weren't listening. The past rushed back like a storm. Kareem's voice from years ago, sweet when he wanted something, sharp when he didn't. The way he controlled her friendships, mocked her dreams, and then begged her to stay when she finally tried to leave. Ayan's question hung in the air. Did Kareem ever threaten you? Kareem scoffed, but his eyes were alert. Threaten? Seriously? She's doing the victim act again. Lena's lips parted, then closed. She felt a familiar fear. If she spoke, people would judge her. If she stayed silent, they'd keep breaking her. Ayan didn't push. He just waited, steady, safe. That safety made her brave. Yes, Lena said, voice trembling. He did. The office gasped softly, like a single creature inhaling. Kareem laughed, too fast. Oh my God, she's insane. Lena's hands shook, but her voice grew stronger with every word she freed. When I got accepted into the training program, he said if I left him, he'd make sure no one hired me. He said he had friends in every office. He said I'd come crawling back when I couldn't pay rent. Kareem's smile slipped. I never said that. Lena looked at him, her eyes burning. You did. And when I refused to come back, you sent messages from unknown numbers. You wrote that I was immoral, that I got promotions because of men. Mr. Qureshi looked away, suddenly ashamed. Ayan's assistant quietly held up the tablet. We can verify those messages. Some were traced to Kareem's devices. Kareem's face twisted. You how? Ayan's tone stayed calm, but there was steel under it. You built your identity by breaking hers. Kareem snapped, desperate. She's married rich now. What's she crying about? She's fine. Lena's voice cracked, not from weakness, from the weight of being unheard for so long. Being fine doesn't erase what you did. I didn't marry rich to escape accountability. I married a man who saw my worth when I had nothing. Ayan looked at her like he was proud, not of her pain, but of her courage. Mr. Qureshi cleared his throat, trying to regain control. Okay. We'll investigate Kareem. But Lena also needs to understand office standards. This is a professional environment. Ayan turned slowly. Professional? He took out a document from the leather briefcase and placed it on Mr. Qureshi's desk. This, Ayan said, is a signed decision from the board, effective immediately. Mr. Qureshi's eyes scanned the page, and the color drained from his face. I don't understand, Mr. Qureshi whispered. Ayan replied, You will in a moment. Kareem leaned forward, squinting. What is that? Ayan looked at him. It's a restructuring order. Then he added quietly, And your name is on the first line. Kareem's breath hitched. Because if his name was there, it meant Ayan wasn't just angry. He was finished playing fair. Justice doesn't yell. It arrives. Kareem reached for the document like he could snatch reality and tear it up. Ayan's assistant moved first. One step, calm, and the paper was pulled out of Kareem's reach without drama. You don't get to touch what you broke, the assistant said. Kareem's voice rose. This is insane. You can't just... This is abuse of power. Ayan finally let a small, cold smile appear. No, Kareem. Abuse of power is humiliating someone in public because you think no one will stop you. Mr. Qureshi's hands trembled as he read the decision again. It says I'm suspended pending investigation. Ayan nodded. Compliance will interview every employee. HR logs, complaint records, promotions denied, vendor approvals. All of it. Kareem's eyes darted around the office, looking for support, anyone. But the people who laughed earlier now stared at the floor. Their silence was louder than any accusation. Kareem swallowed. Lena, come on. This is too much. You're really going to destroy my life over a joke. Lena stepped forward, and the room held its breath. Her voice was soft, but it carried. You try to destroy my life when I was already struggling to survive. The difference is, I didn't have power then. She lifted the old cafe photo in her hand. You thought this made me small, but this is proof I can work, endure, and still rise. Kareem's face tightened. You think you're some hero now? Lena shook her head. No, I think I'm finally free. Ion looked at her, eyes warm. And you're not alone. He turned to the employees. Anyone who ever felt threatened, mocked, or silenced, today you will be heard. Not because I'm here, but because it should have been true even when I wasn't. A young intern near the back raised her hand, shaking. I have emails. Kareem pressured me to approve a vendor invoice. Another employee spoke up. He did the same to me. Then a third. He told me if I reported him, he'd get me fired. Kareem backed away as the truth piled up around him like walls closing in. His voice cracked. You're all lying. Ion nodded to security. 2 guards appeared at the door, not aggressive, just inevitable. Mr. Kareem Raza, Ion said, voice steady. You're terminated for fraud, harassment, and abuse of workplace authority. Legal will contact you within 24 hours. Kareem's eyes locked on Lena. Pure hatred. This isn't over. Lena's heart skipped, but Ion stepped beside her, calm as stone. It's over the moment you realize she's not your target anymore. Kareem was escorted out, shouting, fading down the hall. Silence returned, different now. Cleaner. Mr. Qureshi stood frozen, then whispered, Lena, I'm sorry. Lena looked at him, then at her co-workers. People who had watched her suffer. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She simply said, next time someone is being humiliated, don't wait for a billionaire to walk in. Ion offered her his hand. She took it, and as they walked toward the elevator, Lena's phone buzzed again, this time from an unknown number. You think he's gone? He just posted something about you online. Lena's step stopped. Ion's grip tightened protectively, because justice in the office was one thing. But now the war had moved to the world outside.